Greetings. This is Granddad Pop-Up because I'm subject to pop up at any time and anywhere, really. Uh, Also known as Black Light, Elder Black Light, with the kind of flavor to save you and the kind of knowledge you won't get in college. Now, we're dealing with the Doomsday Chronicle. That's what I'm entitling this series, or titling this series. In this particular edition of Doomsday Chronicle, I'm naming the science of Allah. The science of Allah. I'm coming to you live from the 313 in the lakes, in the woods, also known as Detroit, Motown. But I'm giving you it a new crown. I'm crowning it Rod's Metro. Detroit don't want to recognize the fact that Allah came in person, in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. There's only a small amount of believers in Detroit that take on the teachings, even though everyone has heard the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who is the messenger, the greatest messenger of all times, of Allah. Now, I don't talk like no one that you know of in the Nation of Islam. I talk a little different. I got a little different approach, but I'm using the same material and the same teachings. I'm just being creative with my expressions. And I refuse to pay into the system. I try to do it as little as possible, while everyone else, they may gain a whole lot of dollars out the system, but they pay it right back. So therefore they keep going in circles. But when you recognize the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and how they started, how Master Farad started the Nation of Islam, lost found Nation of Islam. It is the most revolutionary process of recognizing who you really are, who the black man and the black woman who they really are. He introduced a different kind of science to the black man and the white man. They were expecting the rise of a black messiah to galvanize the people, but they never thought that how he would look. They never thought how he would approach his enemy, at the same time raise his people up. So Allah and the person Master Farad Muhammad came over to the States, the United Snakes of America, in around 1910. And for 20 years, he came in and out of the United States, hanging out with white people. Why could he do that? In those times, it was really bad for the black man. So he was a specially prepared man. And his daddy, who was preparing him, was a part of the circle of the gods. So he got a Caucasian woman, impregnated. First, he got cleaned her up into Islam. And then he impregnated her. And then here comes a real light-skinned black man. And there were real light-skinned black people already mixed, or some wasn't mixed, some was just light-skinned. And some of them were passing for white. And you had Lena Horne, but she didn't want to pass for white. But you had others that want to pass for white. But his mission was different. His mission was to find the lost, what they call the lost tribe of Israel. But it really was the lost tribe of Islam. And give them a thorough knowledge of self so they won't be destroyed along with the white man. Tell them to separate from the white man, so you won't be destroyed. And then he wanted to find his representative because he wanted to stay in the background. He didn't want the people to know that he was the Mahdi, the Messiah, the Christ, the Jesus of these modern days. And so he came to Detroit July the 4th in 1930 by himself. So the strategy was to come camouflage. We're going to use that term camouflage, across enemy lines, undetected. And just like 007, uh, one man could bring down a whole nation. One man can bring down a whole world. They got special forces where it's only a few people, or it could just be one, to go behind enemy lines, sabotage, and to assassinate uh, the targets, necessary targets, and bring down whole countries. So his mission was to do this. He was prepared for this, and he was Allah. And he had the same abilities as the creator. He had the same abilities and the same, or even greater. And so his mission was to bring out the Allah in the lost foundation of Islam, the prisoners of war kidnapped and made slaves for 400 years. So he had to bring proof. So he brought the scriptures, the Bible, and he called the Bible the poison book. Not because of the fact that it was no truth in it, but it was tampered with along with the Quran. And we could never understand who we are because we were being misguided by our enemy, unless he brought out this understanding, some say overstanding, to the lost foundation of Islam from the tribe of Shabazz, who was destined to come over here as slaves. Now we were just like him because we came over to the poor part of the planet, to the seat, one of the seats of Satan, and our powers were made dormant because of the lack of knowledge until a given time, until the coming of the Messiah, the Mahdi, to activate the powers within us by giving us the knowledge of self. So he came to activate us into the status of Allah, the original Asiatic black man, in 1930, July the 4th, which is the white man's Independence Day. He came to Detroit, Michigan, to raise up the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to be his representative, his messenger. Not a prophet, but a messenger, strictly to those that were once enslaved, made prisoners of war, because it's our mission to free all black people, to bring all black people, black, brown, red, and yellow, that's a part of the Nation of Islam, the original nation, into the knowledge, the true knowledge itself. And by doing this, this will activate the powers that's lying dormant within us. So let's say maybe about 4 or 5 more days. It'll be uh, the 4th of July, the white man's Independence Day from England. This will also be the black man's Independence Day from the white man. He came to Allah in the person of Master Farah Muhammad, came to Detroit on the east side, Black Bottom itself, to get among the black people, because the black people were dominating that area. They wasn't allowed to go to live on the west side. But over there on Hastings Street, and it was meeting in houses. And they were very poor because it was around the time of the Depression. And so he got amongst us, and it had a twofold, his color had a twofold meaning to it. See, black people to this very day don't want to listen to a black man. You know, but they listen to the white man. The white man put himself up as their God, see, subliminally. They see him as the supreme being, not themselves. And the God knew this, so he prepared his son, the Son of Man, not the son of a spook, not the son of ether, air, or spirit that you can't see, but the Son of Man. And see, black people have been made to think that the black man wasn't nothing, and the white man got them worshiping him indirectly by using a white Jesus, whom he called God, and he made pictures of paintings of a white man hanging on a cross half naked, and said that was God. By us being slaves for 400 years, and he took away our names, our language, our culture, made us deaf, dumb, and blind, and gave us a form of amnesia, just like getting hit in the head and you lose your memory. and we couldn't read, write, count, you know. And then he introduced us to the Bible, King James Version of the Bible, and interpreted his way, you know. And they took some stuff out the Bible and added some stuff in the Bible. And had us worship in barns, you know, gave us his religion that he made called Christianity. And we fell for this hook, line, and sinker. We fell for it. We swallowed it to this very day. Now it's the seventh day. The day of judgment, see. And it's time for us to separate because we the one that gave the white man his science. Then he made us forget that we gave it to him. And he hid it. And he used his science to control us. It was our science, really. But he uses it to control us with. Because we don't know the technology of Allah. We don't know that technology. We don't know the science of Allah. We don't know how the pyramids were built. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that Islam is mathematics. And mathematics is Islam. And the pyramids are still standing with a whole lot of our history in it. And some is buried up under the sands. Then the Arabs, so-called Arabs, they're not the real Arabs. They were taught Islam by Mustafa Muhammad, and they mystified it, gave it the same connotations as Christianity. You can't see God. You can't see Allah. Allah is not a man. The minute he becomes man, he ceases being Allah. But see, by us not knowing etymology, by us not knowing how words, the origin of words, especially the English language, we still trying to find out the origin of etymology. So we don't know about what that word man, we don't know the real understanding or the real meaning of that word man. But it's a whole lot of words with that word man in it. 3 and 4 syllable words with man in it. Like manufacture. I'm not going to go into every word right now because I'm trying to show you a point of view that man at one time means mind. Now, mind is not flesh and blood. Although every cell has a mind, every element, every form of energy has a mind. Everything in the universe have a degree of mental, that's another word with mind in it, man in it, rather, excuse me. Mental. M-E-N is the first syllable in that word, mental. Men. Oh, and woman, the womb of man, the feminine aspect of mind. Womb is what the mind comes through. We're not talking about flesh and blood right now. Not the brain, but the mind. The mind is unseen. You can't see the mind. You can see the brain, though. And so that word man means mind. And so we mistakenly think that man means flesh and blood because we can see it. You can see the flesh, you can see the blood of the mind. So this is the science of Allah. Now, what does science mean? That word science, what does it mean? You look it up, it means to know. To know. And so we got what we call scientists, and they're doing research to know things. So they experiment and they do research. The white man is his scientist. He want to know if it's true that he's from the black man. So he researched. He want to know if it's true if the black man is Allah. So he experiments with us. He want to know if it's true. Can he control Allah? Can he dominate Allah? Even though he's the recessive gene, he want to know, can he dominate the dominant gene? Because he was programmed to think this about his God, which is a black man named Yaqub. In the process of grafting out from the black man, the white man, he was programmed, the Caucasian was programmed with this type of program to trick and to dominate the black man. Just to make a long story short, because all of these, what I'm teaching you or telling you, is on YouTube. It's in a book called A Message to the Black Man, and all of the books of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. What I'm telling you, is in those books. It's also in the Bible. It's also in the Quran. But you don't know the language of the Bible, because the Bible is written in Old English, not this modern day English, but this Old English. And the Quran is written in Arabic, which is our language, but the white man tampered with it. So the Arabs, so-called Arab, the black man was the original Arab. The so-called Arabs, or the Middle Easterners, there's really no such thing as Middle Eastern. That's a modern day term that they gave to what they call Africa, so-called Africa. But the real name is Asia. You got Asia Minor and Asia Major. That's the name of the whole planet at one time. But we wasn't taught how to research, and the white man knew that if he altered history, that we would never find uh, the truth about who we are. And if we don't never find the truth of who we are forever in limbo, which we are now. We keep going around in circles. And some of us are so stubborn, that we ain't gonna never change. I don't care if we were brought the truth. We have been made to love the white man because we thinking he God. We thinking he our creator. Not really understanding that we can't get the dominant out of the recessive. The recessive got to come out the dominant. Mendel, he was trying to, when you hear those scientists, they were trying to convince their people that they were the gods, that they were superior than all the people of color, the black, brown, red, and yellow. So they had to alter the history and the language. And so inside the English language, you got jargons, words. It's a form of jargon, it's a form of English. It's using the English vocabulary, but it has different meanings to it. See? Which makes this the Tower of Babel. Because it's really babbling. And so we coming up on the climax, really, in this election to see whether or not we will remain under the dominance of white people. If we do, we will have to keep going through this same process. A lot of us will be destroyed with the white man. And for another 6,000 years. See, because Allah makes all things new. And he's trying to save us. That's why he came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. Allah works through flesh and blood. And you are made to think that flesh and blood is sin, is sinful. Soon as you get rid of your flesh, when you die, according to how you act, yet still you say Jesus came to save you, to give you everlasting life. Everything you believe is contradicting what the white man tell you or what even some of your brothers tell you. But you so deaf, dumb, and blind, you can't see it. You're not taking time to think about things, to meditate on things. So someone had to come, Allah had to come in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, looking like a white man so he could walk among both people. He could walk among the white man, he could walk among the black man. And his really aim was to teach the black man without being hassled. And so he started off the Nation of Islam in Detroit. Why Detroit? Why Detroit? Why Black Bottom? So I've been doing a whole lot of researching, and I went to the etymology. The etymology, I wanted to know the true meaning of things, you know. So I asked myself, Detroit area code is 313. And I said, dang, it adds up to 7. I found out that Detroit was founded in July, the 7th month. I said, man, it's getting to be a whole lot of 7s up in here. And this is the 7th day, the day of judgment, see? Then I wanted to know what the word Detroit meant. But then as I was, trying to find out what the word Detroit meant, I noticed that Detroit has 7 letters. I said, wow. I said, but what do Detroit mean? That word is French. And Detroit means straight. Like you want to draw a straight line or you want to walk the straight path, Allah guide us on the straight path. I said, now this is getting deep now. All these 7s. And Master Farad Muhammad came in the 7th month to Detroit, the straight path. So Allah's job is to make us a crooked path straight for the black man. Now y'all can't say that ain't deep. That's deep, man. You can't say it ain't. If you do, you mental. You crazy. You kind of off a little bit, brother and sister. It's not no coincidence. That'll be Elijah Muhammad say Islam is mathematics. So we using our mathematical science to prove, what we talking about. And Allah made in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, we got this Supreme Wisdom Lesson book. This is the book that Allah made for us. Supreme Wisdom here. When you open the page up, the cover up, it says to it'll say to the nation, to the I'm trying to give you the exact words. I don't want to waste too much time though. It says to the Lost Foundation of Islam, Temple Number 1, Michigan. And a whole lot of lessons is around Michigan. The lakes. He had lessons in it about the lakes, you know. I can't find it right now. It's not apparent right now. And I'm in a hurry to make my point. I can't find it where it says that. Where is it? It's in here though. Take my word for it. A lot of you can't get the Supreme Wisdom Lesson book, but a lot of the FOI and Muslims, y'all got the Supreme Wisdom Lesson book, you know, and you'll see Michigan. A whole lot of lessons is based around Michigan. And this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the reparation, just say the reparation board meeting, Coleman A. Young Municipal Center. For those of you who don't know, Coleman A. Young was the first black mayor who reigned for 20 years. That wasn't the Boule. He wasn't part of the Boule. A lot of y'all don't know who the Boule are. These are the gatekeepers for the enemy, the Boule bourgeois. You know, now you got two different meanings for Boule, because you got one that's a Greek spell. I mean, it's spelled the same way, but one is Greek and one is French. But the Greek meaning is what we emphasize when we say Boule, because you got your sororities, alpha this, alpha that. These are Greek sororities. Now they want to say that the Greeks were the first to come up with the supreme wisdom and the knowledge, you know, and the interpretation of the Bible. They don't want to say give the knowledge to Egypt, or, you know, they very use Egypt as the first of everything, because it's, you know, was black dominated. The Nubians, they call them now, was dominant at one time, was the only one. They were the Cushites, you know, in Egypt. Egypt is an offshoot of Ethiopia. Now that's in the Bible. Ethiopia. They fighting over there right now. Now y'all know Nipsey Hussle. I'm gonna have to shut this down right now. I'm gonna come back a little later on because I got some business. I got some guys coming to move to do some work in the house. So this is Black Light saying assalamu alaikum.